You heard it right here, right now from the beat.
The new ivory is mammoth.
What do you guys want to know? I've done way too much research on dinosaurs.
Almost a larger-than-life figure.
No reason at all to think it was made by aliens.
Drop down and go swimming as fast as you can. Out of whale.
All these big giants give me a kiss and tell me they don't.
The crowd, just the pop, the loudness, the excitement, the electricity. I don't know if I can take your little Canadian destroyer.
Future is scary, but it's also wonderful. Welcome to another episode of the Unscriptify podcast where genuine meets uncensored and powered by Jägermeister. This time takes you behind the scenes of the thrilling world of stunts and cinematic magic. Today we have a very special guest who has spent years perfecting the art of high-octane action and death-defying stunts. Joining us is Hymnson Chan, a renowned stuntman whose impressive resume, I hope I didn't butcher your name, with impressive resume, which includes action sequences in Avengers, Endgame, Bullet Train, Transformers, Revenge of the Fallen, as well as The Brother Sun, Snowfall, The Rookie, American Horror Story, and Shameless, to name a few. And from gravity-defying leaps to bone-crushing fight scenes, Hymnson has done it all. Today, he'll be sharing his incredible journey, the secrets behind his craft, and what it takes to perform stunts and leave audience in awe or on the edge of their seats. Hymnson, thanks for joining us, and are you ready to go genuine, uncensored, and unscripted with us today?
Absolutely, and you totally nailed it. You got my name right, so points to you.
Yes. Yeah. So let's start with the beginning. What inspired you to pursue a career in stunts? How did you get started in this industry?
Sure, I think it actually started subconsciously when I was a child. I mean, I'm Chinese, so I grew up in a Chinese household. So we just constantly had Jackie Chan movies on all the time. Jet Li, Chow Yun-fat. Yeah, exactly. So I saw him as kind of that role model hero that you normally don't get in American cinema. It's like you get your action stars like Arnold Schwarzenegger, Sylvester Stallone, which are all awesome, but like I never saw any Asian people on screen. So when I grew up watching Jackie, I thought this was the standard. So I always knew that I loved entertaining people like Jackie does. He doesn't just do action. He makes people laugh. He gives people like a roller coaster of emotion. So I always thought that that'd be such an interesting and fun career. But of course, growing up in an Asian household as well, my parents wanted me to be a doctor or engineer or like an accountant, something boring. Not that that could be exciting. I don't know. But yeah, I actually went to college for engineering. And then that's when I really realized, like, this is not what I want to do the rest of my life. I want to bring enjoyment into people's lives, and moved out to Hollywood. So I actually started acting, and through acting, I got involved with stunts by like meeting the stunt guy, because that's always the people that I gravitate towards. I played football in college, did martial arts growing up, so they just kind of had that natural skill set of a physical ability. So I started training with the guys. I started getting mentorships from stunt coordinators, and some of the guys now, and that was about 15 years ago when we first started, they're now like the top guys coming up, so it's really amazing to see them come up as well. And I'm just trying to follow their footsteps, really.
Yeah. What would maybe Chad Stahelski or David Leitch among those?
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to name drop, but yeah, some of the guys that like when I first started. I trained with like my buddies like Jeremy Marinas, who was fight coordinator on John Wick 4.
Oh wow!
It's like Anis and Kimdo and all these guys. They were just kind of getting started. Like they're coming off like world champion martial artists type of stuff. Whereas me, I was like, I played football. I guess I wasn't like at their level. So just being in their circle, seeing how hard they work. Like Jeremy was pretty much like living at 8711, training right under Chad. So watching him put in that dedication was really inspiring to me. And so like, yeah, him just doing amazing movies like John Wick 4 and Beekeeper and working with these big action stars is something that I'd still love to work towards, and I get to learn from him.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, but to your job, to being a stuntman, there's of course some inherent risk of your job, of course, and how do you understand that philosophy of risk in your profession? How do you balance between safety and risks?
I think that's just part of the job. Like being in stunts, it's taking calculated risks. There's always a chance of getting hurt, but that's why we train so much that we will test out certain stunts. If it's like a wire rig, or a fire burn, or even rehearsing like a car chase sequence. We'll do it over and over again. We'll do walkthroughs, then do like a half speed rehearsal, start picking it up, and then eventually get to cameras rolling. We're doing it full speed and ready to go. So that's the preparation. The preparation and stunts is just so important that people don't see what's happening before we even get to set.
Mm-hmm. So what kind of training do you undergo in your preparation?
I'm sorry?
What kind of training you undergo before doing a scene?
Oh, yeah. Okay, so my specialty is fights. So I was always constantly doing fight choreography. We would watch and learn from like previous movies like Jackie Chan, Donnie Yen movies, and we recreate it because stunts, an important skill that a lot of stuff people don't realize is also the filmmaking aspect. It's not always taking that hit, throwing a kick or whatever. It's like throwing it at the right angle for a camera. So we learn like different camera angles of what sells. So we'd constantly just, even if it's just in a park, in someone's garage, one of my buddies' apartments, we would just throw each other around and just work out the choreography. I don't think he got a security deposit back because we put some damage into the walls there. But yeah, just practicing stuff like that wherever we could. Wherever we went, we looked at it as like a playground. Like, how can we make a cool fight here? Like, where even just looking off a roof, it's like, oh, I bet I could jump off this roof and probably survive. Maybe what size airbag would I need? And like, kind of gauging how much you can get away with before someone gets hurt.
Tell me this, because we interviewed here previously 2 stunt coordinators as well. And for example, Nicholas Powell, who worked on Gladiator, when I asked him about, for example, coordination with the directors, how much freedom they give to the stunt, he said in his case, for example, Ridley Scott gave him a lot of place to move around, to write and obviously to present it as, he left him to do his job, so to speak. He didn't. In your case, in your work with the different directors, how often is it that balance works? Are there people who are just like hands-on always, or there are people like, do what you have to do? This is your part of the job.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of directors that I've worked with have thankfully been very collaborative. Like, not too many, because they know that they don't know the exact risks that we're taking, but we do. So a lot of them are more hands-off, be like, okay, this is essentially the stunt unit. You guys do whatever you need to do. Tell the cameras where they need to be. We'll let you even call action when you need to. Make sure everyone's in place. So having that freedom is great. But a lot of times they still, obviously, because filmmaking is a collaboration, they still want input. So we'll do like pre-vises and we'll show them to them like, hey, this is what we have in mind. What do you think? And then we'll get their notes and keep adjusting where it's something that think's going to really push the story and make something really special on screen. But also we want to make sure that the directors still get their vision across, because ultimately we work for them. It's their movie. Like, if they're doing some really serious drama, but our action team, we want to do some like crazy Jackie Chan, like comedic stuff, obviously that's not going to work well together. So it is very important to get notes and get what they want. But ultimately, a lot of the directors, even producers, just like, hey, we brought you on for a reason, so we'll let you shine and just have at it.
But there may be been situations where you thought that you absolutely nailed the scene and it's a take, and actually the director come and say, we need to try that again, we need to do this, and it goes on and maybe becomes too bothersome, tiresome.
Oh yeah, that happens quite a bit, because, well, the one that kind of comes to my mind most recently, I was doing a car hit, so we were kind of cheating a little bit. So I get hit by a car, I hang on to the hood, then it speeds off and I get thrown off. So we're like, the camera angles, we see the ground, the wardrobe can't really hide pads that much, so like we're just gonna have to do it 100%, like full commitment, just do whatever you gotta do. So we did it, and I thought I'd nail it the first time. Car hits me, perfect timing. We hit our marks. He speeds off. I get thrown off, hit the cement. I go flying, rolling down the street. I was like, all right, we nailed it. It was perfect. And then suddenly like, oh, camera wasn't ready. I'm like,
Oh,
What? But like, all right, let's go get it. You got that's all good. I'm like, all right, adrenaline's going. I feel good. Wasn't that bad of a hit, so all right, let's do it again. Reset. So
yeah, they
trying to
just
do it-
needed to hit you one more time.
exactly.
with the car.
Yeah, all right, one more won't be that bad.
Yeah.
Though, but they're trying to do it as a oneer. So like they're trying to get all these different angles. Cameras on a steady cam. So it's a very technically difficult shot. So we ended up doing that about 7 times, where I thought I nailed on the first one. So we kept dialing it in closer, trying to get the camera timing right, the car angle right when it slides off. So yeah, I ended up getting thrown off the car about 7 times, and like I was just bruised up and banged up by the end of the day. And I think they ended up liking the second one the most. So like the last 5 really didn't need to do.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It reminds me of a story from Chris Brewster. We had him on the show as well. And
Yeah,
he works on
one of
that.
the homies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, really?
Yeah, music.
Say hi to him in a bit.
You ever watch the show Community?
No, but I know.
American comedy, yeah, with like Donald Glover, Danny Pudi, Ken Jeong, all those guys. So they have they have a signature. What they're famous for is like a paintball episode where they go through the entire school, and they do it like Justin Lin, John Woo style. So it's a very action-packed episode. So me and him did an episode of that where we're just part of this big paintball war, which is a lot of fun. And he's killing it now. So he's one of those guys that I look up to.
Yeah, he's a great guy. Say hi to him when you meet him.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah, and he also talked about the scene from Daredevil where he needed to jump off the window and into the water force. Yeah, and also 7 times, I think. Yes, yes, yeah. Which way that was a kill. Yeah. And you mentioned Wanner, and Daredevil is also famous for its Wanner scene from Prison Escape and hallway scene. And how much Wanners did you do, and how tough is it to actually get everything choreographed and in the place and just roll?
Yeah, I mean, that hallway scene in Daredevil and even all the way back to Old Boy, I mean, Wanners has always kind of been that like target shot that filmmakers want to do, but it's so incredibly difficult to do. So one of the fights that I was part of was actually in Avengers Endgame when they wanted to do it as a Wanner. The big Yakuza fight where Ronin's going through the streets of Tokyo, just killing Yakuza guys going up a building, through a building, and throwing a guy out the window, end up back on the street. And another fight with Hawkeye or Ronin with Hiroyuki Sanada on the street. So technically in the film, it's a Wanner. It looks like a Wanner, but nowadays with technology, people have gotten so smart that they shoot it in pieces, but they have specific points where they're like, all right, this is where we can cut, and then we'll pick it up from there. So on screen, it looks like a Wanner, and that's kind of the little secret of Hollywood nowadays is most Wanners aren't really Wanners.
Wow.
But I mean, I don't know how Brewster and Phil and those guys did it on Daredevil. They might have done a legit Wanner. I don't know. But some of the ones that I've done, like the Endgame one, was like they had little cheats here and there, where it's like you see specific camera movements, like you got to get a wipe. Like say if you're going across a building, you see just a building that fills the entire frame, or someone gets hit, they fall in the camera. So even if it's like a split second of black where the entire screen is black, that's usually a cut point. So like it looks like a Wanner, but it's like, oh, they cheated that a little bit. And sometimes, I mean, doing this for 15 years, you can kind of tell where they did it, but the general audience doesn't really know, and it's safer that way and probably a little bit more efficient. But it's hard to get that perfect take, especially when it's a long fight scene.
Yeah. And also for your work on Endgame, you got your first SAG award, right?
Yes, I did. Thank you. Yeah. It was definitely a team effort. The award was for best ensemble, so it's like pretty much everyone that was part of it helped make it what it is. So like I'm very grateful for that award. I actually also got nominated for Infinity War, which is cool. But for Endgame, we actually won. So it's hanging up on the wall. Very, very proud of that. But yeah, I can't take too much credit for it. I'll give it credit to the stunt team and the fight coordinators. And we had we had Greg Rementer, who actually also coordinated Bullet Train. And that's how I kind of got onto that job, was working with Greg. Also, Daniel Hernandez, Monique Anderton. I mean, there's just so many people involved, and just James Young, yeah, just amazing talent there. That I give those guys the credit for the awards.
Yeah. Tell me this. I mean, because obviously those two films now that you mentioned, I mean, Infinity War and Endgame are literally by the numbers some of the biggest movies of all time.
Yeah.
So obviously, when we also spoke to the producer, he said there's a major difference, obviously, between TV schedule and the schedule of movies, which on the movies bigger budget, rehearsals, this and that. On those films in particular that were so big, how hard did you had that prep time, that rehearsal, work, and the whole planning? How that went and how long that went?
Oh, it was a dream. Like when you have that amount of money, you can take your time. Like I think because Avengers Endgame and Infinity War pretty much shot almost overlapped at certain points, but it was back to back. And that was like an entire year of filming, whereas like a TV show, you get 7 to 10 days, and that includes your prep. And because then they're moving on to the next episode, so like TV is very hectic. But having the resources of like Endgame, we got our time. We get weeks to like shoot a previs, wait for notes, constantly training every single day just to stay ready. And we would shoot entire fight scenes for like a week, and it doesn't even make the final cut. So like they can shoot whatever they want to have just in case. Whereas TV and even indie films, you have to be very strategic and very planned out of what you're going to shoot, because everything needs to essentially make it onto screen.
Yeah. Still speaking about Endgame, were there maybe some of the major actors that worked on the movie that actually did their own stunts and maybe made you think, oh wow, this guy or girl knows a thing or two about stunts?
Yeah, I mean, all of them are so physically talented that they do as much as they can. But like certain things you don't expect, like Jeremy Renner to be doing backflips and twists and all that stuff. So that's why we got our stunt doubles. But one of the fight scenes I did was actually with Scarlett Johansson, and she did like most of it. It was all like she's running through with her guns and just like blasting aliens left and right. And she did pretty much everything on that. Like any wire gags, they probably brought in like Heidi, who's her double, and fly her off. Anything more that's risky, but like the very physical stuff, she's on top of it. She was badass, and I really loved working with her there.
I would take Hurricanrana from terms.
Yeah.
But speaking now of the actors who do their stunts, if I remember reading correctly, Brad Pitt did a lot of his stunt work on Bullet Train, and if I'm correct, Hiroyuki Sanada always make a point to do most of his work. Did you had encounters with doing directly fight scenes with them on Bullet Train?
Yeah, even back on Endgame, Hiroyuki did that entire fight scene. Like we had doubles just in case, but he did his entire fight scene with Ronin, with our Ronin double, who was Kyle MacLachlan. And yeah, Hiroyuki, I think he's like a legit sword master, because in Japan, like that's part of the requirements. If you're going to do like samurai TV shows and movies, they legit train you, and you have to be able to do everything. And I mean, he didn't even need his double. Like he was just so good. And you see it in Bullet Train and even in the show Shogun. That's all him. He's so talented because he knows it. If anything, we would ask him for advice, like, how about this move? Is this angle right? How would you cut at this angle? Like, and he's such a sweet guy too. But yeah, he's just so skilled, and he did it all. I think Brad did a good amount too. I wasn't there for the entire run of Bullet Train, but he seems like he's got that athletic skill, so I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, I mean, that scene on the Bullet Train with I Need a Hero in Japanese is probably one of the best scenes in anything ever. Anything. Epic.
No, it's definitely, yeah. You said it, epic. It's so cool.
Yeah. And now a little bit back on technical stuff. How has the world of stunts evolved since you started your career? Because you said, like, maybe at one point Hollywood needed to make runners. Now it doesn't need to make runner. They can wrap it in couple of scenes and everything. How did it evolve over the course of time?
I think it's been changing ever since like CGI has been introduced. Like, I mean, a lot of people can tell like when CGI is being used. I think it's improved so much that you can tell less. So like certain stunts, like car chases, like big wrecks, like in Fast and the Furious, they did a lot of it was practical, so they used real cars. But when it's like big, massive wrecks, a lot of times you can kind of tell it's CGI. Or it's like Ferrari. Everyone like was ragging on Ferrari with that one car flying off and spitting in the air, and it looks so fake. But it has helped a lot of safety-wise stunt guys. Like back in the day when they do like they fall off a building, let's say for like 10, 15 stories, they're just falling into an airbag and they just train to hit that airbag. Whereas nowadays we'll do wires for safeties and we'll have an airbag still there just in case. Or even nowadays they'll just CGI a little person just falling. Like they might not even have a stunt guy. So I feel like the technology has made things more safe, but at the same time also eliminated some of the stunt work that a human being would normally be doing, which has been tough. But technology, yeah, it's a double-edged sword, but it was really cool. It's like I said, like the wonders, like I mean, Sam Hargrave does some amazing wonders in Extraction, where he had, I think it's Extraction 2, where he had his like 11-minute car chase. Or no, that was Extraction 1, where they kind of essentially shot it as a wonder. Where
the second, I think it's longer. I think
it's even longer than the second one. Yeah,
20 or something.
Yeah, like it's super crazy. And Sam was actually second unit director on Endgame, so like a lot of tricks he learned from there, he brought onto the Extraction set, and that's why his action sequences always look so good. Yeah, sorry, I don't know if that even answered your question.
Yeah.
I'm very ADD, so sometimes my brain goes off.
but you obviously now you spoke about obviously Jackie Chan as a legend, and obviously Donnie Yen and guys like that, you know. But you personally, when you watch action movies past and present, do you still find new inspirations and some new stuff that you go, oh, we didn't think about that? That's kind of cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially the old Hong Kong cinema stuff. You see these stunt guys taking the actual hits. Like, I think hearing stories from the guys that did work in that industry over in China and Hong Kong during those days, they were going to the hospital like every single week. Someone's always getting sent to the hospital because they would just legit throw their body through a plate glass window, hit the ground, and a lot of the time maybe it's like a little bit of dirt, but they can soften it up. But these guys are hitting the ground and like really getting messed up really bad. So, I mean, in a way that is, and it's weird to say that it's inspirational. It's just that they show that full commitment that they're willing to risk their body. And I feel like that's why stunts gets overlooked so much. And I'm sure you guys have heard all about like the push for stunts for an Oscars. Because like,
oh yeah,
filmmaking process, we put our bodies on the line, and people have died on set doing stunts.
Yeah,
and not get that recognition from the Academy is a travesty. We absolutely deserve one. So
yeah,
but
that's like motion capture as well.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. But yeah, to answer your question, watching those things, because Jackie was doing, they weren't like full on wonders, but he would do really long takes, and I loved. And it's a little bit of a lost art now. Is like Jackie, Jet Li, all those guys, they would do it in wide shots, so you can see all the action, you can see what everyone's doing. Whereas nowadays, it's kind of like the Jason Bourne effect, where you're getting like a really tight shot here, and it's just so shaky. You see maybe a punch or two, and you get to experience the energy of the fight. But I just feel like you're losing the choreography, you're losing the full effect of seeing what's going on. Like you get the freneticness, but you're not getting to see the cool stuff, you know, all the hard work they're putting in. It's like you see a punch here or there. It's just, that's one of the things that really inspires me, is just being able to see all the action, and being like Jackie's one of the first guys I think that really made the standard of using improvised weapons, like using everything around you. A lot of times it was like the old cowboy style, you got a 6-shooter, you're shooting guys, and that's all you do. But Jackie used everything around him, and rewatching that like is inspiring him. That's what I love doing too. That's like my number one favorite thing is like improvised weapons and just using what you can around me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jackie was a master in it.
Yeah.
And maybe what was like you said, to feel the whole atmosphere of the fight scenes of actions. Maybe that's what was so special about John Wick coming out and totally refreshing action genre in cinema, and Bullet Train being inspired by it and everything that came after it.
Exactly. Yeah. Chad and David, I mean, both huge fans of them. And I know that they're huge fans of like Jackie and all those guys. So there you see a lot of those references. And I feel like, I don't know, have you guys seen Fall Guy yet?
No.
Okay. I won't spoil it then. But there's a couple of jokes here and there and like just running gags throughout Fall Guy that I feel like pay homage to Jackie Chan stuff, where he's got like kind of funny jokes that's part of the story, and then mixes in with the action too, which is really cool. But yeah, highly recommend seeing Fall Guy. That is like the ultimate stunt movie right now.
It's currently in cinema, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Also the fight scene, that comes to my mind right now is from Hitman's Bodyguard, where Ryan Reynolds used everything around him as a weapon, and that reminded me of Jackie Chan.
Yeah, it was kind of comedic also. So
Yeah. Is that when he like cut off a guy's hand with the serving platter?
Yeah. A lot of people said that film was a generic buddy comedy, but I loved it just because it was like so over the top crazy.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, ultimately it is entertainment. So if people just want to see something fun and crazy, like I think that's perfect.
Without any drama all the time.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's
I
me
don't feel depressed.
that's me liking Michael Bay Transformers movies. You know.
Well, listen, Christopher Nolan likes Fast and Furious, so we can like it.
Yeah,
Exactly. Yeah. If Christopher Nolan can give his thumbs up to that, then that's definitely.
Yeah, definitely.
I also wanted to ask you, are you an anime fan or video games fan? Do you maybe draw something from there?
A little bit, yeah. I mean, I do enjoy anime. I got into One Piece, kind of getting into Avatar. But yeah, my friends have been recommending a bunch of stuff, but the anime fight style is always so cool. And I loved in like Creed 3, because Michael B. Jordan is a huge anime fan. So they had that final fight where it's like mixed with the anime style, which I think is amazing. I think the guys from Shang-Chi also did that in Legend of the Ten Rings. Cowan, who was, I think, one of the fight coordinators and like second unit directors. He has some amazing, like, before he made it big in Hollywood, he was doing these live action anime style fights, which is incredible. You should check them out.
I definitely will. But before we check him out, I want to ask you, what is maybe the most dangerous stunt that you did in your career, and which one is your favorite? Is it the same one or?
That's a good question. You got to do some very interesting things. I mean, well, the funny thing is, I just kind of one of the injuries that kind of pops in my mind. It wasn't necessarily the most dangerous stunt, but like it just shows like little things that make all the difference. So I did a ratchet on a show where literally just flying back into a wall, and it's part of a scene where two guys do it. So they did it with one guy. He went to the wall. He actually broke the wall. So it's like, all right, well, maybe we did that. And this is the special effects guy was kind of running the ratchet. Our first stunt guy got the take, broke the wall, and then the production designer or the construction crew came in, replaced the wall, and they didn't tell us that they reinforced it. So it's twice as thick as it was before. And then I'm up. I put on my back rig, and it ended up being a little bit slanted. So when I did my ratchet, I flew back in the wall. It pulled me up, and I hit the bottom of my back into the wall first.
Wow.
It didn't crack, and I ended up injuring my spine on that. And so I hit the wall, I fall down. The rest of the scene's going on, so I'm just laying there. But I realized that I couldn't move my legs. So at that moment, I thought my career was over. I thought I broke my back. I couldn't even move my toes or anything. So that was kind of a scary moment. But thankfully, by the time they called cut, I regained some feeling. I was able to walk off on my own, and I stupidly I didn't say anything to anybody. Like I was like, yeah, I'm fine. They're like, yes, that looked like a really really tough hit. Like, you good? It's like, we don't need to do another one, but it looked really really gnarly. Like, yeah, I'm good. So thankfully, I did it once. I ended up not being able to. I was like in bed for like 2 weeks, couldn't get out of bed. My entire back was swollen, purple, and eventually got X-rays, and there's like a tiny fracture just in my spine that I should have gotten checked sooner. This was like way later on. I was like, I'm still having some back issues, and getting X-rays. Like, have you ever injured your back? I'm like, sort of. It wasn't official, but yeah. Then I was like, oh, I fractured my spine a little bit, so that was kind of a scary thing. But then, I mean, that was like 7-8 years ago, so I haven't learned my lesson. I'm still doing stunts. That is kind of the reality of the job, is that something can go wrong, and could drastically change your life forever. So, and that wasn't even the most dangerous stuff. I'd say probably just doing that car hit over and over again was the most dangerous, and that was easy compared to doing the ratchets and stuff. So yeah, but that's one of my favorite ones. But I think everything I did on Endgame was like my favorite stunt. It was just so fun because growing up as a Marvel fan, I'm just excited to be there every single day and like seeing these superheroes and getting to be part of that world. So just that whole environment of being there made it my favorite job.
Yeah, that's cool. Also, before we wrap up and everything, I want to ask you, where can we see you next or currently?
We've got a few things. Actually, so stunts, like trying to follow in Chad and David and JJ Perry and Jojo Eusebio's their path, like they're directing now. So I've been getting more into the writing and directing. A short film that I actually wrote and directed got accepted to a film festival. It's not official yet, so I can't say what it is yet, but it's a big one in LA. So I'm excited to make my debut there as like writer director. I have a team, like I won a couple screenwriting competitions during COVID, and so writing has kind of opened up this whole new world of telling the stories that I want to tell. Like it's fun doing stunts, and a lot of times playing the bad guy is cool, but then you kind of get stuck in that world where that's all people see you as. And as fun as it is to play the bad guy, sometimes you want to be the hero too. So I figured I'd just start writing those stories. So I've got a TV show that I'm going to hopefully start pitching soon that won a couple awards. And yeah, I mean, otherwise just doing fun little things for social media here and there and just trying to pay my rent.
Yeah, I hope everyone listening now took some notes on this last.
Yeah. Oh, and I just totally remember, like we were talking about Jackie and like the evolution of stunts, and I think you'll see this more and more is the showcasing of stunt actors. Like instead of just having actors do their acting and then bring in a stunt up, you'll see more and more people and more movies and big movies especially that bring in stunt people that can also act. And maybe like 10 years ago, stunt coordinators would always say, you have to pick one or the other. Like, you have to either be an actor or a stunt guy. Don't mix the two. But now with the evolution of like storytelling, cinema, and just people's physical abilities, you'll see more and more stunt actors, which I think is amazing and opens up a whole new world. Like Daniel Bernhardt has been in like every John Wick movie. He's good friends with Chad. But now he's like starring in movies too, so it's really cool to see that evolution, to show that we are more than just performers that get hit all the time. We can take people on that emotional roller coaster.
Yeah, not just stunt actors, stunt directors as well.
Yeah, exactly. We're storytellers.
Yeah. Before we wrap up, we also have one tradition where we say a quote on our Montenegrin language, and Luca prepared the quote for this episode and translated to English.
Yeah. I prepared the quote from our director Branko Baletic, and on our language he said, umjetnost se trudi da objasni svijet. Riječ je o tome da svijet treba mijenjati, ali to nije lako i vrlo teško se postiže. Međutim, umjetnost i zapravo kultura jeste konstantno postavljanje pitanja koja će provoditi ljude da bi eventualno došlo do nekih promjena. To je funkcija na koju ne smijemo zaboraviti svi mi. Na neki način učestvujemo u tom procesu. And in English it would translate to, art tries to explain the world. It is about changing the world, but it is not easy
and very difficult to achieve. However, art and in fact the culture is constantly asking questions that will wake people up so that eventually there will be some changes. And this is a function that all of us who in some way participate in that process must not forget. Some storytelling there, right?
Well, absolutely. And I agree with that 100%. Like, even though it is entertainment, media, TV and film has the ability to change the world, change people's perspective on people, on other people, especially like a community that they've never met. Like, all they see is what they see on screen. And so they automatically think that that's what all those people are like. I think that's why it's important to have more diverse storytelling, like, to get more authentic representation to show that we're not, like, especially Asian people. It wasn't, well, it was always like the nerdy guy or like the ninja or whatever. But now we're getting other shows that show that we're more than that, that we're just, everyone has more in common than we realize. I think that's important to have more diverse storytelling and different stories. And that's the power of art, to get that out there.
Yeah. So, Mr. Chan, thank you for coming here. Thank you for this interesting and exciting.
Yeah, but my pleasure.
minutes.
Absolutely, I would love to
I will-
come back and chat with you guys again soon.
I would look forward to seeing you again, of course, in some of the future episodes. And see.
We stay genuine, uncensored and unscripted, and we always will, as we have to order our usual. Share us and subscribe us, and stay tuned until the next Wednesday. IKUZO!